I'm Scholars. This the Dad Cypher.
What advice would you give about, Black boys and Black girls interacting with law enforcement? What would you suggest?
The company that I work for, 99.9% of the guys that work there are former law enforcement. They've served as military police. They've served as, sheriff deputies, or they've worked as prison guards. So, it's very pro blue line. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if I were having a conversation with them and brought up the fact that, for Black children of any age, they have to be debriefed or trained or spoken to in any terms differently than anyone else, they would probably find that laughable. They would find it offensive. They would say that I'm crazy. I'm trying to just basically reiterate how to have an interaction with an officer. And I'm going to try and do that again while I'm out here in Portland. But the greater point is this. You are running the risk of putting your child in a deadly situation if you approach this conversation from a position of being naive or trying to be politically correct. The Justice Department in 2016 released a investigational finding that basically just reiterated what most Black people have known for the past, 400 years, that white supremacists have infiltrated law enforcement. Now, this is under Donald J. Trump's administration. This Department of Justice finding did not come out under Obama. Okay, this was under Trump's administration. But it talks about the rise of white nationalists that have gravitated towards law enforcement. Much like a police officer would say that, listen, I don't know you and I have to approach you a certain way. We have to also have that conversation with our kids. There's a really good app, and I'll send you the link to it. It's called I'm Being Pulled Over. And when you touch this app, it turns the brightness on your phone all the way down. It sends an alert to whoever you have in the system. And the alert says, I'm currently being pulled over, and it sends a location ping. Okay. It also turns off any music you have going through your Bluetooth and starts your camera. And at the end of the interaction, it uploads the camera footage to a cloud location. So if you have a Dropbox or something like that, and it also sends it to that one person that you designate. That's something that everybody should have. You should have it on your phone. I have it on my phone. I've, implored my kids to have it on their phone. Anybody of color, specifically Black Americans, need to have this technology on their phone. You're being naive if you think that you're not in grave danger when you have an interaction with a law enforcement officer. That officer could be the most non-racist, most politically correct, great, upstanding person on the face of the earth. His job already has him on edge. And the people that they deal with and come in contact with, and this is twofold. If you're in the middle of nowhere and they have no contact with people of color or Black people, you're in a real grave danger because they're only interacting with you what they've heard. Okay? Mm-hmm. You're dealing with police officers who deal with Blacks all the time. What's their interaction? So if a police officer has a high concentration of time around the Black community, are they in a dangerous community? They're probably not living in that community. So I say all that to say that their impression in law enforcement of Black men in general is what they see. So in terms of arrest, in terms of imprisonment, in terms of transportation from court to the jail or from the jail to the prison, that lowest common denominator of Black male is what they are seeing when they approach that vehicle. And it's up to you as the person that's being pulled over or being stopped or having an interaction to try and change that view as quickly as possible. So you have to operate from a position of putting that officer at ease. And, unfortunately, as we've seen, that's not always possible, your contact with that officer. So if this is a stop, what we call a Terry stop, which would be a stop and frisk, that's where a police officer says, hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Now you're at a position, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, no, I don't answer questions and keep walking? You're going to stop and have that conversation, right?
Right.
Now,
you have to have it.
And this is a trap, because a white man will say, I haven't done anything wrong. Tell me what law I've broken. Tell me what rule I've violated. And if you can't, go fuck yourself. And for the most part, they're going to probably let that go, because they don't know if his dad's an attorney, or if he's an attorney, or if he knows an attorney. If he knows somebody on the force, is his dad a cop? There's so many different little loopholes that could get them in trouble that they are probably, and this is a generalization, not going to push with that situation. But it's so highly unlikely, even in the face of death. When we see George Floyd killed, we see Breonna Taylor killed, when we see Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, in the worst case scenario of death, the Black community does zero. The only thing that ultimately might happen is a settlement. And guess who pays for that settlement? The taxpayers.
Right.
Okay. So parents have to have these conversations about how to mitigate that interaction with that police officer so that that kid makes it home. I don't know if you saw that video from in December. There's a kid, he's 14 years old. I don't know what city he was in. Maybe he was in North Carolina, but he's walking home. He worked at Target. And there was a huge snowstorm. So he's literally, there's 3 feet of snow. He's walking in the street because the sidewalks, he can't. And the cops pull up on him. Hey, what are you doing? I'm going home. Where are you walking to? I'm walking home. Hey, wait a second. Come here. I'm going home. Where do you live? I don't want to tell you where I live. I'm going home. Well, now you're being belligerent. What are you talking about? He turns around. Whoa. What are you doing? Show me your hands. You know what I mean? It's just like this never-ending game of hokey pokey where anything that you do is the wrong thing. So that was a very long-winded way of saying you have to almost train your kids how to handle these situations. Cop says, hey, you, come here for a second. Sir, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
You know what? I hate to say it, but in my mind, I almost tell my kid is like my sons, because I have 3 boys, 21 and 2 15, soon to be 16-year-olds. I told them, in a sense, become an old slave. I'll say, you seen slave movies? Like, yes, the boss. What you need, sir? It's just because when I get pulled over, in a sense, I have to revert back to that. I'll never forget, I was a 16-year-old, and I was walking my girlfriend at the time home. And a police officer in an unmarked police car, plain clothes like detective or whatever, drives literally on the sidewalk, stops me, and was like, where are you going? I was like, I'm headed home. And then he was like, where's your driver's license? And at the time, I'm a kid. I don't have a license. I was like, I'm just headed home. And then he was like, well, what's with this attitude? What's with, and then he said, you people say you want us to do, you want us to work in your neighborhood, but then when we pull you over, you got to talk a bunch of smart shit. I was like, sir, all I'm trying to do is get home. And he said, and at the time I had a fro and I had gray in my hair. And he was like, you say you 16, well, what's with the gray shit in your hair? And it was just like, the only way I was able to get out of that situation, ironically, was I was in a Crip neighborhood, and the Crips was like, leave them alone. And then they began to chase after the Crips. And I was able to get home safe. But I just feel like with my own sons, I just try to tell them to, in a sense, go limp. Don't say anything.
Well,
don't make any movements. Nothing.
I agree with that. But here's the thing. So we have got, man, you think that that's going to be the best way to do it. I don't want my kids to revert to a position of groveling and begging. I think that what you have to try to get across to your kids, and what I do now, I don't do anything aggressive and I don't do anything non-aggressive. I'm simply approaching it as if I was in the military, which I was, and I'm now, for the time being detained as a prisoner of war. So if I'm a prisoner of war, am I going to start to snivel and cry and beg? Or am I going to hold my square and I literally say to the officer, I roll my window down, hands at 10 and 2. My registration and insurance information is in my visor. Right? I think that we need to train our kids to not have it in the glove box. The second that I get pulled over, I pull the visor down, turn the music off, turn the lights inside the cabin on. Hands go to 10 and 2. Cop comes up, I let him speak first. Sir, do you know why I'm pulling you over? No, I do not, but I just want to let you know I'm fully willing to cooperate. My information is in my visor. My wallet is in my ID's in my wallet. My wallet is on the dashboard, and I'm here to answer any questions I can for you. What can I do for you, sir? You know you were speeding. No, I do not. Where are you going? I'm headed home. Where do you live? All my information's accurate. It's on my license. Would you like that? Where are you coming from? I'm headed home, sir. Just getting off of work. That's it. You want to write your ticket? You write your ticket. You want to let me go? You let me go. If you want to arrest me and take me to jail, guess what? Sir, hands in the front or the back. How would you like me to do this? We're gonna battle this in court, but I'm not going to give them any justification to harm me. But they really don't need any justification. But what I don't want is that audio of me having an argument with him going, "I know my rights, motherfucker."
Right, exactly.
And that's what's being played on the news after I gotten shot 7 times.